early hours of June 5th, 2004, the peaceful campus of a university town was shaken by a horrifying discovery. On a seemingly tranquil lawn, just a short distance from the University of Missouri, lay the lifeless body of a young man. His throat had been brutally slashed, marking the abrupt and violent end of his life. The victim, Jesse Valencia, was a 23-year-old junior with big dreams and aspirations. Found lying face up, his tragic death left behind a web of unanswered questions, hidden truths, and chilling mysteries. Who could have committed such a ruthless act? What secrets was Jesse carrying? And how did his search for love lead to such a devastating outcome? This story delves into the shadows of Jesse's life, unraveling secrets, lies, and forbidden relationships that shook the community to its core. Each detail offers a crucial piece of a puzzle that continues to haunt those who knew him. Join us as we uncover the truth about Jesse Valencia, a journey through the darkness of a life cut short and a relentless quest for justice and closure. Stay with us as we piece together this gripping tale, shedding light on the mysteries that remain. Jesse James Wade Valencia, born on February 22, 1981, in Perryville, Missouri, was the cherished son of Lupe Valencia and Linda B. Valencia. After his parents divorced during his childhood, Jesse was primarily raised by his mother. He spent much of his early life on a rural farm in Kentucky with his mother and grandparents. As her only son, Jesse held a special place in his mother's heart, alongside his two sisters. During his teenage years, Jesse showed remarkable courage by coming out to his mother as gay. He also confided in her about a persistent premonition of an untimely death, a feeling he couldn't fully understand. His mother's unconditional love and acceptance were vital to his upbringing, helping him navigate life with confidence. Blessed with good looks and charisma, Jesse briefly pursued modeling after high school. He later moved to Columbia, Missouri, to attend the University of Missouri, where he studied law and journalism with dreams of becoming a lawyer. Known for his sociable nature, Jesse enjoyed the lively student nightlife. He loved partying, making friends, and meeting new people, maintaining a carefree approach to relationships and avoiding monogamy. On the evening of June 4th, Jesse worked a shift at a motel. After finishing his job, he attended a campus party where he drank heavily and became quite intoxicated. On the afternoon of June 5th, 2004, several students dialed 911 after discovering a body on a lawn. Initially, authorities considered the possibility of a tragic accident. Given the body's location between two buildings, they speculated that the individual might have been intoxicated and attempted to jump from one rooftop to the other. The victim was soon identified as Jesse Valencia. He was found lying face up, wearing only shorts, with a fatal wound, a deep slash across his throat that severed to the spine. The medical examiner determined the injury had been inflicted while Jesse was unconscious, as no defensive wounds were present on his hands. Bruises were found on his upper body, but the weapon, a serrated blade, was not recovered at the scene. Jesse's time of death was estimated to have occurred before 6 a.m. that morning. Detectives examined Jesse's phone records, uncovering several calls made on the evening of June 4th. One call at 3:13 a.m. lasted 2 minutes and 40 seconds and was made to his friend, Ed McDavid. When questioned, Ed admitted that he and Jesse had a sexual relationship and revealed they had last met 2 nights prior. On the night of Jesse's death, Ed claimed he was at home with his roommate, who corroborated his alibi. Jesse's apartment, just a block away from where his body was found, was examined by investigators. The door was open, but there were no signs of a struggle or foul play inside. Among a pile of clothes, detectives discovered a used condom, which was sent for DNA analysis. The test confirmed the presence of DNA from 2 individuals, Jesse and Ed McDavid. However, further analysis revealed another twist. DNA tests conducted on Jesse's fingernails identified not only Jesse and Ed's DNA, but also an unknown third person's profile, raising additional questions about what had transpired. As part of their investigation, detectives interviewed Jesse's friends and encouraged anyone with information about the night of the murder to come forward. A young man named Andy Sherahorn provided particularly startling details. Sherahorn explained that he and Jesse had a friends with benefits arrangement. having met a few months earlier and engaged in several sexual encounters. During one such occasion, something unexpected occurred. Late at night, while they were in bed together, there was a knock at the door. Jesse got up to answer it, revealing a police officer in uniform holding a flashlight. Surprised by the officer's presence, Sherahorn sat up in bed and wrapped himself in a sheet. The officer directed Jesse and Sherahorn to carry on with whatever they were doing. Jesse assured Sherahorn that he knew the officer and invited him to join them. The three engaged in sexual activity, after which the officer dressed and warned Sherahorn to keep the encounter a secret. He then left as abruptly as he had appeared. Sherahorn's revelation alarmed the detectives and raised serious concerns within the police department. His account suggested the disturbing possibility that Jesse's murderer might be a fellow officer. Jesse had previously mentioned to his mother, Linda, that he was involved with a police officer, but he never shared the officer's name. In fact, Jesse himself may not have even known the officer's true identity. Linda recounted that Jesse had described the officer as someone who seemed to be stalking him. Jesse admitted to her that he was growing increasingly suspicious of the man, as he realized he knew almost nothing about his identity. Detectives brought Andy Sherahorn to the Columbia Police Station to help identify the officer who had been in Jesse's apartment that night. Surprisingly, the process turned out to be much simpler than anticipated. As Sherahorn walked down a corridor at the station, another officer passed by. When Sherahorn reached the room where he was supposed to review photographs from the Columbia Police Yearbook, he informed the detective escorting him that the man who had just walked by was the same one who had been in bed with him and Jesse that night. The officer in question was Stephen Rios, a 27-year-old who had served with the Columbia Police Department for 3 years. Rios was married and had a newborn at home. He was known among his colleagues as a well-liked and respected officer. His superiors saw him as capable and ambitious, with a promising career ahead. Rios was also recognized for his strict adherence to rules, which made the revelation of his connection to Jesse shocking to his fellow officers. Many found it difficult to believe he could have been involved in the murder. Jesse and Stephen Rios first crossed paths about 2 months before the murder at a party Jesse attended. Police were called to break up the gathering, and Rios arrested Jesse, who was known for being argumentative. Jesse was issued a municipal court summons for obstructing government operations, a charge he questioned at the time. This arrest was the beginning of an unusual relationship between the university student and the police officer. During the ride to the station, Rios engaged Jesse in personal conversations. The next day, Rios appeared uninvited at Jesse's apartment, claiming he had additional questions. However, his real motive was to initiate a sexual relationship. Over the following weeks, Rios continued to visit Jesse without warning, and the two engaged in sexual encounters. Jesse confided in his friend Joan Sheridan that he was worried the charges from the party might not be dropped, despite his relationship with Rios. He reportedly told Sheridan, "The next time the cop visits, I'll tell him I have a little secret the police chief might want to know." After Andy Sherahorn revealed his story to investigators, Rios was brought in for questioning. Initially, he denied any sexual involvement with Jesse. However, when confronted with Sherahorn's eyewitness account, Rios admitted to the relationship, but maintained his innocence regarding the murder. He claimed to have been at home in bed with his wife on the night Jesse was killed. Rios also agreed to provide a DNA sample, which investigators compared to the DNA found under Jesse's fingernails. DNA testing confirmed Stephen Rios as the unknown third person whose DNA was found under Jesse Valencia's fingernails. While this linked Rios to Jesse on the night of his death, it did not definitively prove his involvement in the murder. Their relationship, though secretive, was not illegal. After initial questioning, Rios was released. Upon re-examining Jesse's body, the medical examiner noticed distinctive bruises on his chest and back, consistent with a law enforcement technique known as a one-sided vascular neck restraint. This maneuver is designed to render someone unconscious within seconds. A police training officer reviewed the bruises and agreed they matched injuries caused by this restraint. However, if the technique was improperly applied, it could have caused Jesse to resist, leading to further bruising. Investigators delved into Rios's police training records and found that he had failed his defensive tactics course, strengthening the case against him. Additionally, small dark hairs found on Jesse's chest were analyzed and confirmed to be limb hairs belonging to Rios. Some hairs still contained roots, allowing for DNA testing, which also matched Rios. Despite this mounting evidence, Rios continued to deny any role in the murder. Rios's alibi began to fall apart when it was revealed that he was unaccounted for 45 minutes during the night of Jesse's death. Investigators pieced together a possible scenario with the help of Special Prosecutor Morley Swingle. Swingle argued that Rios had visited Jesse unannounced that night, as he often did. Jesse had recently discovered that Rios was married with a child and had decided to end their affair. According to Jesse's mother, Linda, he had been uneasy about the relationship from the beginning and had even considered reporting Rios to his superiors if the visits continued. Swingle suggested that this threat enraged Rios, who was determined to keep the affair secret from his family and colleagues. In a confrontation that escalated quickly, Jesse fled his apartment in fear, but Rios pursued him, eventually catching him and restraining him with a chokehold. The two struggled, but Jesse ultimately lost consciousness during the attack. Stephen Rios, consumed with rage, fatally slit Jesse Valencia's throat before fleeing the scene. During the trial, Rios's attorney, Valerie Lefwich, sought to undermine Jesse's reputation in an effort to defend her client. She painted Jesse as promiscuous and unpredictable, suggesting that his numerous lovers, rather than Rios, were more likely suspects in his murder. Lefwich emphasized that Jesse had engaged in sexual encounters with multiple men, including Rios, but her arguments failed to convince the jury. Instead, the forensic evidence proved decisive. In May 2005, the jury found Stephen Rios guilty of first-degree murder, sentencing him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, his conviction was later overturned by the Missouri Court of Appeals due to the use of inadmissible hearsay during the trial. In 2008, Rios faced a second trial. This time he was convicted of second-degree murder and armed criminal action. The court sentenced him to life imprisonment with an additional 23 years. Prosecutor Morley Swingle argued that Rios had exploited his position as a police officer to pursue a secret relationship with Jesse and then silenced him permanently to protect his reputation. This case remains a chilling reminder of abuse of power and the devastating consequences it can have. Thank you for exploring the tragic story of Jesse Valencia with us. If you found this case impactful, please like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your engagement helps us uncover and present more compelling stories. Let us know if there's a specific case or mystery you'd like us to investigate. It might become our next feature. Stay safe and take care.